Hi everybody, I'm here to talk about a new paper that we have published in the Journal of Management Studies. This paper is very unique and interesting. Here we are talking about promoting diversity and equality and how can we solve one challenging issue in the organization today is how do we retain and motivate diverse employees in an organization. If you look at today's organization, no organization is singular, meaning all the organizations are diverse and they're getting more and more diverse. But it has been very hard to retain employees from different social groups. Here when you're talking about different feathers embedding together and integration of job embeddedness and relational demography, here we are saying what is the process for embedding different social groups in a diverse organization. Embedding means if a person is embedded, then the percentage that he will stay in the organization is high. So the retention is high, the motivation is high, the performance is high. And it explains the process through which employees stay in the organization and not how employees leave. So that is the process we have explained in an organization, and we say that one formula does not fit everybody. The process through which the minorities and the majorities stay in an organization differs on the basis of the organizational context, and the organizational context influences or impacts the intergroup relationship between the majority group and the minority group. When I'm talking about organizational context, what am I talking about? I'm talking about what is the number of minority groups that work in an organization. Not only the number, what is their status power? How many of the minority groups are at the top level or the middle level or the lower level? Where do they exist? So that creates the structure of balance power in the organization. What is the level of inclusion? Are they included in the code decision making process? Are they given an environment where if they talk about something different, even then their jobs are safe? Is the HR practices fair for them? The recruitment selection, the compensation, the promotion is fair for them. Now these three, the number of minority groups present in an organization, the balance power and the degree of inclusion, these three combines together and makes up an organizational context. Now organizational context is we have taken three different kinds of organizational context. One is called monolithic organization, where 90% of the employees are from majority group, they have all the power, they are in all the top positions and middle positions, and only the minority group are at the lower level, very small in number. Then we have pluralistic organization, where we have more minority groups than in monolithic organization. A few of them are present at the middle level and the top level, so there is some power with them, but the level of inclusion is not high. And then we are multicultural, where there are a large number of minority groups along with the majority groups. They are present at all levels, the balance power is quite equal, and there is a high degree of inclusion there. Now we are saying that how do we retain and motivate the different social groups in an organization depends on what is the organizational context, what is the balance power, what is the level of inclusion, because that affects the intergroup relation between the majority and the marginalized groups. The hurdles that exist in these three different organizations are different. For example, if you look at in the monolithic organization, the minority groups are completely excluded. They do not have power. Hence, there is no conflict between the majority and the minority because the majority have all the power, all the resources. It is easier for them to build embeddedness for the majority group. For the minority, they are excluded, so it's very hard for them to build the embeddedness process. It takes a longer time for them. They do not have links to form connections with. If you look at the pluralistic organization, there's a lot of conflict between the majority group and the minority group because with the increasing number of minorities in a pluralistic organization, there is an identity threat that the majority groups experience because the increase in the number and the increase in the power, because the inclusion is not very much there. So there is a threat, hence the conflict is very high. Hence here the intergroup relationship is very different. On the other hand, if you look at the multicultural organization, there's a lot of harmony, cooperation, coordination there. There's a high level of inclusion there. So here the intergroup relation is very, very different. Now, what the inclusive leaders have to do is to understand what is the level of intergroup relation in the organization that they have, because these three are distinct organizations. But there is a continuum where we are saying that organization can be anywhere between a monolithic and a multicultural organization. Once our inclusive leaders identifies in which level of organization their organization is, only then they can take up the right kind of steps. For example, when you're talking about multicultural, we already have a high level of inclusion. There is a balance of power structure there. So we don't have to do anything? Absolutely not. Inclusive leaders have to make sure that the intergroup relation, the cordial intergroup relation that exists in a multicultural organization, how they can maintain it. And they have to focus on at the individual level of the employee. For example, they can be an ally, and they can be a leader who can show how to maintain diversity, how to deal with the diverse employees, how to integrate the employees who are new to the multicultural organization, how can they adopt to diversity. When we are looking at pluralistic organization, the inclusive leaders have to make sure that the whole focus in pluralistic organization is to improve the intergroup relation, because the conflict is very high here. The identity threat for the majority group is very high here. So they have to focus on the relational groups, improving the relationship between the groups. They have to explain to the majority groups why diversity exists, how it is helping them, how they can coordinate and grow with them. Instead of creating a superordinate organization where the identity is mixed with the organization, it is very important to understand and accept the distinct groups and improve the relationship between the distinct groups, which we call relational identity, improving on the relational identity. On the other hand, if you look at the monolithic organization, then the inclusive leaders have to focus here at the organizational level, because there is hardly any inclusion, there is complete exclusion. So all the focus have to be on developing the organizational practices, which can start from the recruitment efforts. The managers have to be trained first, and that is how the inclusive leaders have 3 different roles. That means they have to adopt their behavior to understand to their organizational level and then implement practices accordingly. So in monolithic organizations, the inclusive leaders must focus at the organizational level. In the pluralistic organization, the inclusive leaders have to focus at the intergroup level, and in the multicultural organization, the inclusive leaders have to focus at the individual level. Now when we look at the embeddedness process, obviously in the monolithic organization, the majority groups, it is very easy for them to build the embeddedness. It is very easy to, faster for them to build embeddedness, but it is very tough for the minority employees to build embeddedness, and it takes a long time. Now, when we talk about embeddedness, it has 3 dimensions. We are talking about links, fit, and sacrifice. Links, the degree to which the employees attached with the people, with the project, with the boss, with the colleague, with the organization as a whole. Fit, the degree to which their skills and attitudes and knowledge is being utilized by the organization. What is the degree of match that they feel with the organization in terms of value, in terms of career plan? Sacrifice, what they are giving up if they are leaving the organization. So the higher the embeddedness, the higher is the retention and higher is the performance. So it is very high for the majority groups in monolithic organization, low, and it takes a lot of time to develop for the minority groups in a monolithic organization. Pluralistic organization, the embeddedness process for both the groups, it has obstacles, because the majority groups experience identity threat, so their sacrifice level goes down. They take longer time to develop embeddedness. In pluralistic organization, minority groups will take easier. It becomes easier for them to be embedded than in monolithic organization, but still they'll take longer time. And in multicultural, to build embeddedness is easier and faster for both the majority groups and the minority groups. So once the inclusive leader understands the process through which the embeddedness is built, they can accordingly take actions to develop or to embed the different social groups in an organization. And it is also very important to understand here that we have not only focused on the minority groups. It is important to understand that you have to focus on the intergroup relationship. Hence, you have to also focus on the majority groups. So by focusing on the majority groups and the minority groups, the intergroup relationship between them, by focusing on the organizational context, the number, the power structure balance, and the level of inclusion, and it helps in discovering the intergroup obstacles, and the inclusive leader should focus on removing these in his intergroup relations obstacles and help in embedding the employees from both the majority groups and the minority groups in an effective way and faster way. Thank you.